Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, we're going to be painting kind of a poster style with a bunch of garden fun items and butterflies and flowers and mushrooms and different things. So yeah, I'll show you start to finish tonight how to do this one. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's been in chat tonight, so if you can ask questions while I'm painting, and yeah, let's get started. Alrighty, so I've started out by painting my background. This color was actually a little bit tricky to match. Like I didn't have a from the bottle tube of color that I could use. So I kind of mixed up a few of my greens to get this kind of bluish green, but it's kind of a mid, it's actually almost 50-50 phthalo green yellow shade and phthalo green blue shade. So if you had just phthalo blue and phthalo green of some kind, you could probably mix up something similar to this. I also put in some unbleached titanium because it was not covering, because those two, the phthalos are so transparent. I was going to take several coats, so I added just a tiny bit of the unbleached titanium to make it cover. Still a little bit streaky, so I'm probably going to give it another coat. As we paint, I'll probably paint around some items and different things, but kind of just, I have these set of cards that I got, and they all have these really pretty little, you know, things on them. Let me show you the card, the artist here. How to Be a Wildflower by Katie Daisy. Love her art. I think it's really fun, and I love the, you know, just the way she puts together these fun elements. So I'm going to put my own little spin on nod to Katie's art here, and shout out to her if she's, I don't know, if you know her. I love her stuff. It's really fun, and that's a really fun little deck. I don't know where I got it. I think I got it on Amazon, but it's just got all these little cards. And they have different sayings and things on them. And so I pull them out and I kind of set them around my studio at times to kind of give me a little boost of inspiration. But so we're going to do kind of something, you know, in that kind of poster style with a lot of loose flowers and things. I think it's going to be really fun. Of course, I'll be using my style, not hers. But anyhow, it'll be kind of a similar type of thing. That's where I got my idea, inspiration. So I wanted to give her a shout out. All right, let's go over our colors. I've got carbon black, burnt umber, burnt sienna. Whoops, my palette is off center. Burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow oxide, cadmium yellow light, India yellow, cadmium red light. Now I decided to go with cadmium red instead of Pyrrole orange, which is my normal orangey red that I use because cadmium red light is opaque, so it'll cover this green a little bit better. And you'll see what we have to do. I'm going to show you a trick for painting over dark colors to get that bright, vivid color to come through, because if you paint the red onto this green, it'll go kind of muddy brown. So I'll show you a trick to making your colors brighter when you paint them over the top of a color like this. Quinacridone Magenta, which one is that? Ultramarine Blue, Phthalo Blue green shade, Phthalo Green yellow shade, and again I said I also use the Phthalo Green blue shade, but I think what you can do to get this color is use Phthalo Green yellow shade and Cobalt Teal, which is another color that we normally use. Unbleached titanium, titanium white, glass glazing liquid. So let me go over that background again. It is phthalo green blue shade, which is just like a little bit more of a closer to phthalo blue. And then phthalo green yellow shade, which is more of a yellow green. And I kind of did 50-50 on here and started painting it on and realized it was way too transparent. So then I added a pretty good dollop, and Mark said it looked like bird poop of, while I was painting, I was laughing, of unbleached titanium. We're being real here tonight.
Yeah, she just kind of blopped it on.
It looked like bird poop on top of the green. Another color that you could use if you have it is cobalt green. That was kind of what I was trying to match up because I just really like that tone. So you can see how it's pretty close to that color. So if you happen to have that Winsor & Newton color, I didn't want to do this on here because this is not a color that we normally would have in our palettes. So I wanted to try to mix it with ones that we probably would have. So let's do let me see what I want to do. I really need a second coat on here. I hate to waste time doing a second coat on here. So, but I kind of think I'm going to need to. So unfortunately, let's just go ahead and do that. So let's mix up well, actually, I'm not going to mix it up. I'm just going to plop it straight onto the canvas here. So I've got phthalo green, yellow shade, and cobalt teal. And I think I can make a color that's almost identical to this because the cobalt teal has that blueness in it that the phthalo green blue shade had. But it also has the opacity that I needed. And it'll probably be similar to using the unbleached titanium that we did that I did in my original. So I'm going kind of probably 2 parts cobalt teal to 1 part of the phthalo green yellow shade. Phthalo green is a very intense color and it's going to overtake anything we use. And I'm just using a big paddle here. This is the Princeton Red Line 3-inch paddle. And we'll see. I think it might be a little bit more teal. No, look at that. It's almost spot on, isn't it? I've already kind of done it and I can't really almost tell where it's been and where it's not. So, and I honestly don't care if there's a little bit of mismatch of the colors. So I don't mind if there's a little bit of a brush stroke kind of thing showing. I just kind of want, that's almost identical. Isn't that crazy? So it's that yellow or it's that white. That's now the one thing I do need to do is spray this. I'm just going to spray everything because it was too dry and it was just sticking. It wasn't moving around. So make sure you do that. And I did that with the first one too. And with the first one, I also added a little bit of matte medium to help make it stick as well. But I don't need it on here, I think. Okay, that's lovely. I think that worked really well. I'm going to let Mark take that and we'll practice some flowers and leaves and things. I'll show you some basic brush strokes for that while he's drying this. And then we'll get to going. That looks really, it looks really orange or like really green, yellow in my light. So I think my light, here, let me check my warmth of my light here because I think, well, I don't know. It looks okay. That's weird because it looks more teal in my light than it does on the camera there. So not really sure why it was doing that. All right, let me get out a practice sheet. This is just my Strathmore Visual Journal mixed media paper or watercolor, some kind of watercolor, heavy duty watercolor paper will work too. And let's go over some basic brush strokes that we'll be using tonight. And this will help you doing any kind of flowers. So the first one will be just like a basic comma stroke. This will be for our daisies and things like that. So I'll get a little bit of white and pink here because my daisies are going to be that echinacea. When you're using a round brush, you want to add water to your paint so that it's fluid. Similar to when you use a liner, it doesn't have to be as fluid as when you use a liner brush, but it should be a little softer than when you're using a regular brush. All right, so I'm gonna get my round brush, and if I press it flat, you can see it kind of will sort of hold the shape of whatever I press it to. So if I want it to be a nice round tip, I have to twist it a little bit after I load it with paint. But I'm loading it by kind of really pressing down heavy and getting that paint worked all the way into the brush really well. And then I'm going to just twist the very tip of it to get a nice little point on it. And then for the comma stroke, you're just going to set your brush down and turn it. Now, if we want to do our daisies or whatever, I'm going to do my kind of draw out where I'm going to go with this. So I'm going to kind of do my petals like this, coming out from the flower tip. You can see where the tip is. So I'm going to start on the back end of it and go towards the center. So I'm going to set my brush down, and as I lift it, as I go towards the tip there, I'm going to lift it up and let that point that I have on my brush do the work. And if you've got a good brush, it'll snap right back into place. Press down, lift and draw it to where you want it to go. Now the comma part goes in is it if you kind of twist or turn it a little bit. So if I want to turn it a little bit, I can do that. They're all really going to go here at this point. Maybe the ones on the side might be a little bit more turned. So I might start here and kind of pull it to the side there to get a little twist on it.
This bottom corner is.
Oh, it's not painted? No, I see that. Thank you.
Watch this. You want to hit it real quick?
Probably, yes. Thank you. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so you get the idea. The comma stroke is just pressing down and pulling, and you can turn it or you can go straight or go in the opposite direction if you want, like that. But that's a comma stroke. Really common, used it all the time in flowers, and we'll be using it a lot tonight. Now, another kind of alternate comma stroke. I don't know, I'm not saying the right word there. Is, let's get a little bit of blue here, is using it to kind of just do a little plop. So I'm going to plop it down and lift. And these will be for like our little tiny. Now, if I kind of have my tip pointing out, it's a little bit rounded. So if I want it, the butt end of that flower petal to be more rounded, then I have to point my tip in. You see how the difference is? If I point the tip in, it's kind of rounded. And if I pointed it out there, it was pointed on the end. So depending on the kind of flower petal you want to do, you just turn your brush either inward toward the petal to the center or out. Okay. And then there's going to be some that are just like little tiny long ones, and we're going to set the brush down and kind of pull in and let the brush do the work. And if I don't move my hand, I'm just kind of pivoting my wrist a little bit, or pivoting my fingers and just kind of flicking it toward the center there, then I can get that kind of aster type of flower with this brush as well. All right. And then the other thing that we can do is do some leaves. I'm going to get a little bit of green here. Add a little bit of white just so that it's a little bit more opaque. And then setting my brush down, I'm going to start with the point, press it down, and then lift, getting another point at the end. Okay, this brush is being a little bit lazy tonight, so I might need a little bit more fluid. If the paint is too thick, a softer brush won't be able to snap back into its original shape. So let me see if it does better with a little bit more fluid paint. So starting there, stepping there, and then yeah, so it snapped right back where it was kind of fighting me there. Okay, so there's a leaf shape, and then we can obviously, make it wider by adding a second one right next to it there. Okay. Let me see. And then we're for something like a cosmos. It's similar. All of these are going to be very similar. So I'm going to maybe do like 3 little brush strokes in a row. I need a little bit more color here. This is a terrible color for this flower, but you get the idea. 1, 2, 3. So this is similar to that one where I'm just kind of doing lines, but I'm just making that outer bit of the petal a little bit ruffled there. Okay. And then if we want to do a petal that's like what are they called? Hellebores, or one of those that has kind of almost like a wild rose or something. get a little bit of pink here, and again, kind of make sure I have enough water. Here we can do these leaf strokes and combine them. So I'm going to do a leaf stroke, leaf stroke, leaf stroke, and just doing 2 per petal and overlapping the petals a little bit. And I can do it this way too. Just have to be careful about that tip, so I might have to kind of touch up that tip a little bit. So that'll be another kind of petal flower that we'll do. All right, and I think that's about all of the different kinds of flowers that we're gonna do pretty much. And so we did them all with this brush. But you can do similar similar type petals with other brushes, flat brushes or Filbert brushes. Filberts work really similar to the round brush for this, and so probably end up using the Filbert a little bit. And if I do anything different to, you know, to the brush stroke, I'll let you know when I do it, show you. But there's a little center there, so get the idea. All right, let's get going here. We got lots to do. Well, that'll save us some time. So I've already explained how to do the flowers. I'll just kind of jump in and do them. I'll try to, you know, remember to remind of the technique. But I can already tell that this is going to be too soft. This was the 8 round. So I'm going to get a round brush that's a little bit more firm. And that way I can press down a little bit. This one is the 4 round from the Summit series. These are a little bit more stiff bristled. Not as stiff as the Aspen. So I'll grab that as well and see which one I like for this. I think I'm going to go a little bit messier. I don't know that I'm going to worry about having super clean edges. So the Aspen is probably going to be the way to go, especially if you're using heavy body acrylics. If you've got a softer acrylic, like a craft acrylic or something like that, then you might be able to go with something a little bit softer as far as a brush goes. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our little focal point. And then I need to have room for my butterfly above and below. Okay, that looks good. So there's our little red-capped mushroom. Got a little skirt, and I made some really bad art yesterday with watercolors. I realized that you can't just like jump in with watercolors. I was messing around, just kind of decided to try something on something similar to this with watercolors. It did not go well. It did not go well at all. I was like, oh. So it doesn't matter how long you've been painting, you can still make bad art. It's okay. And honestly, you know, I tell you guys all the time, it's okay to make bad art, because you're just one step closer to better art, you know, if you're practicing. So eventually I'll get there and figure out kind of what I'm doing with my watercolors, but I still enjoy playing with them, and I like that I can just sit on the couch and veg and, you know, still make art. So that's kind of the main draw for me right now. It's just, I don't want to have to come into my studio to make art every time I want, you know, to do something. So all right, so 3 little ones there, and then we'll do the kind of hellebore here. I think that's the name of these. They look a little bit like anemones, but I don't think they are. Okay, there. Then we'll do some little cute little mushrooms here. I might do 3 instead of just 2. Just we'll see. I kind of just went with pictures I already had, so that's why we ended up with these. I was just trying to see if I could make something that I liked with the pictures I already had, you know, in my cutout folder. I have a bunch of so you probably recognize some of these flowers from other tutorials, because I reuse my cutout often. I'm gonna move this around. Yeah, no, I mean, I just take images and I cut out the elements, and then I make stuff like this out of it, you know, with my Photoshop so that I can kind of come up with original ideas or original designs. Been doing that a lot more this last couple of years. We'll do a big daisy here and here. Oh, this is a bad drawing, but you get the idea. I'm just trying to get the placement mostly. I might make that a little bit bigger. We'll see. So I picked things. You want to, when you're doing something like this, if you're wanting to kind of do your own version of this and add whatever elements you want to yours, what you want to do is start with your biggest elements first and get those placed, and then you can always fill in around with the smaller elements, and that makes it easier. And think about things like color. So I had my pink flowers up here, so I wanted some more pink flowers down here, so I chose these echinacea that I had, purple cone flowers. And then I wanted some purple kind of throughout, so I added little bits of purple. Yeah, they're called purple coneflower, but these ones are actually pink, or kind of a, they're tropical color. I don't know. I don't remember what the exact name for them was, but I think it was like the tropical version of the, there's little bees. I'll try to get those in there, leave room for them. Tropical coneflower, whatever, Fiesta or something. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it wasn't like the purple variety. I have the purple variety too, but these ones are really pretty because they come out in like white, yellow, orange, and like this kind of coral pink color. It's really pretty. And last year I ended up with a lot of coral pink flowers. I have a lot of bouquets, pictures of my bouquets that were coral pink. It's like one of my favorite colors of flowers, blue and coral pink. So it's funny. All right, there we go. All right, so there's our drawing. I might move everything up. I can tell I'm kind of crowded down here, so I might move this guy up a little bit. And these look okay. I don't know if I can move them up much with these in the way, so we'll see. But I may have to move the, I have a little bit of room for the mushroom to go up. Anyhow, all right, let's get going here. Already 24 minutes and I haven't painted anything yet. If you're just joining me, welcome. Glad you're
You painted the background twice.
If you've been, yeah, that's true. If you've been hanging around.
A nice Celtic green, so that's good.
Yeah, exactly. We've been watching the Celtics.
I know, because you love me.
I know. Mark's a Celtics fan, and we've been found a show for him.
I highly recommend that series.
Yes. Yeah, it was really cool. If you're a Celtics fan, especially. But it was interesting to me, and even though I'm not like, into the basketball or anything. I think it was on HBO. Something about Celtics, something. They had one about the Lakers already, so they had to do one for the Celtics.
That was like a 2-show series.
All right. Yeah, exactly. All right, so I think I'm going to move these up just a little bit, maybe. I can see that I have them kind of, let me see if well, it looks like they're kind of going off the edge at the top there in my picture. Just trying to decide where I want to start here. But I think because I don't want to start at the top and then like work my way down and have it like, when you like start your letters here and you kind of end up having to go around the corner. Like I don't want to make sure that I like get to the bottom here and have no room for everything that I want to do. So I think I'm going to move everything up just a little bit more. And the key to getting these to look vibrant is going to be to paint them in white first, and then we'll go over them with color. This will just give it. And this is such a light pink that I think I can just go ahead and do it with my white and pink here, and I should be able to get it in a couple of coats instead of having to come back and do a bunch. There we go. But if you're if you're wanting your color to be vibrant and you're painting on top of a dark color, and this would be for black or any other color, but especially a color like this where the color is really going to affect the other colors on top. So any of that green that peeks through is going to shift the color temperature, where we want to use plenty of white. And I'm definitely going to have to do 2 coats on this, so this we may be here a while.
So it's turned out to be 2-Coat Tuesday.
Exactly.
I like Taco Tuesday better, but
Taco Tuesday.
2-Coat.
2-Coat Tuesday, yeah.
Could be your rap name.
2 coats. It's really funny, actually. All right. There we go. Those are a little white. Alright guys, let me get a little bit of blue here. And this is a 4 round from the Aspen, so these are much stiffer bristles than what I was using before. And I think it's going to work fine. I may do like one of those purple flowers in the middle. I'm kind of trying to make it symmetrical, but I'm not so worried about it being perfectly symmetrical. I just put my hand in there, so I'm going to put this down so I don't wipe off any more of my drawing. Yeah, so I think I could fit another flower on either side, so I might cluster these a little closer together. And maybe make them a little off center so they're not perfectly symmetrical. Like you do want it to be a little bit, I'm not, want it to be similar on both sides, but it doesn't have to be exactly the same. Okay, that looks cute. Cute. Oh yeah, I had leaves there. Okay, so let's do our leaves. Get some white here. I'm gonna get a little bit of yellow with my phthalo green. And we'll do a leaf right here. Kind of skirting it real close. There we go. Maybe we'll do another one. I don't know. I'll wait. I'm gonna wait and leave myself room to ad lib later. Once I get all my elements on here, then I can kind of tell where I want to fill in and where I need some space. So I don't want to do too much too soon. We'll just wait and add as we go. Oh my gosh. Sorry. How's chat doing tonight?
They're doing good.
Yeah. Everybody hanging in there?
Hanging in there.
Good.
Yeah. Visiting.
Nice. Hi, everybody. Glad to have you with me tonight, with us. Mark's feeling better. He's still coughing, but not as bad as he was last week.
No.
Can't believe it's been a week. It's crazy. This week went by fast. All right, I'm going to switch to the tube Filbert and see if I like it better. We'll see. I don't know. And the reason is that it's going to hold less paint, and so I think I can get a little smoother line on there. I was kind of having to work to keep that 8 round from putting down too much paint. And I could have just painted around these with my green. Or I could, if I was doing this like for digital art, say, or for like licensing purposes, and I wanted to have a little bit more flexibility. Probably what I would do is, these are ruffled here, so I'm just going to kind of wiggle it as I do this. Probably what I would do is do these on white. So do all of these elements on white and then cut them out and do my backgrounds on digital and then move them around however I want. So I just have to paint it once instead of painting these twice. I could just paint it once and then duplicate it digitally and move it around where I want it and that kind of thing. So half the work, you know, and more flexibility too. So that's something that I've been teaching myself the last couple of years, is doing more digital art rendering of my artwork and manipulating it digitally, making fabrics and things like that. Which I've been doing for years, but I've come a long way because I used to do my fabrics by drawing it on paper and then using like Photoshop to try to... Photoshop's terrible because you can't really draw very well in it. I didn't have a tablet, like an iPad, to use to draw way back when I made my first fabrics, so I was having to draw them on paper and then cut the paper in fourths and like move it and then copy it and then crop it and then put it in my computer and then duplicate it. Like, it was a whole thing, and then fill it in on the computer, and it was a mess. It was very time consuming and not at all very fun. I didn't do very many fabrics that way because I found it very tedious. Then I did several where I just cut out my elements and made fabrics that way, and that was a little bit easier to cutting them out of existing paintings. Mostly butterfly fabrics that I did a while back. All right, so this is phthalo. This is white with my. I made a red with my Cadmium Red Light and my magenta, and then added white to it so that it would cover. I'm just kind of trying to skip a step of having to have everything bright white, but I don't know. We'll see. And I moved it up quite a bit. You can see probably a 1/4 inch or so. Bring it out a little bit more. And then you see this kind of like thick lines that I got there. You want to smooth those out. I've got one right there, but I'm not too worried about that one. But for the most part, you want to smooth it out, especially on something like this where we're going to come back in and do a second coat, because any of those lines are going to catch stuff. It's like texture, and so when you do your next layer, it's going to catch on that bits of texture, and the light's going to catch on it too, and so it'll look like it'll look shinier. Even if you have it darker, it'll kind of catch the light and look lighter than the color next to it, even if they're the same color, if that makes sense. So you just want to watch for those and make sure you're smoothing those out. All right, so we'll leave that to go. And this is a good color for this daisy down here. So I'm going to move this sunflower up, or this butterfly up quite a bit. So I'm going to move the flower up to about, let me draw it that way. So I want this to end right here, and this butterfly to be up here. So I've got that room. So now I kind of know where my boundaries are for this flower. So let's move it up here. And it's actually, in that picture, it's kind of above and below that butterfly. So I'll go ahead and do that. Remember those comma strokes. Now with the Filbert, I can kind of turn it on its side, or I can leave it like that either way. And I can get those kind of nice little comma strokes from it. I'm gonna do them kind of different sizes there, but I was kind of trying to keep an eye on where my center is, because all these petals should lead to the center. Okay. That. Right, and then it's gonna be like right here. Love this color. This is so pretty, isn't it? This is just white with that cadmium red light and magenta. Yeah, Quinacridone Magenta.
I was
I'm
gonna
just
go.
kind of looking, making sure I'm kind of getting them in the same general areas. What?
I was gonna go sneak some cake, and
What?
looks like somebody beat me to it.
No? I don't know what you're talking about. Did they give us half a cake?
It's so
So
strange.
weird. I don't know why. I hate it when they do
I
that.
need to complain to them.
Yeah. You should just take that up with them. Somebody ate half my cake. All right, so I'm mixing a purple and I'm adding that burnt sienna to it. So I've got the magenta and ultramarine blue with burnt sienna here, and I'm going to use that for my purple coneflower's nose here. And kind of straight, almost straight across at the bottom. Kind of bring it down into those petals though, a little bit, and then round a little top on it. Kind of straight. And a little hat. Okay, cute. All right, let's use this for the center of our big daisies here. What are those called? Black-eyed Susans. So, and I'm going to move those in towards this a little bit more, so kind of right in here. They're slightly kind of oval. They're not perfectly round. Somewhere in there. I think I got it fairly close. Again, I'm not too worried about it. If I was doing this digitally, then I could set up my little snapping tool and I could have it mirror it and make sure that it was exactly the same distance away and all that good stuff. But we're just doing it old school. Going by eye here. Now, the yellow will definitely need some white on this green. So I've mixed up all three of my yellows here, the yellow oxide, cadmium yellow light, and India yellow hue to get kind of a golden color, golden yellow. And then adding that white will make it more opaque on top of that green. And just trying to press my brush flat in this case instead of like twisting it round. You're going to press your brush flat if you're using the Filbert. And then I'm going to just pull all my petals in towards that center there. So kind of turn my brush to the side. I want it to be a little bit smaller. These ones at the tip are maybe going away from us a little bit, so maybe not as long as the ones at the bottom. Need to make sure I'm getting those rounded tips though. So I can do it opposite. I can, if I'm having a hard time, I can kind of just start in the center and then plop it out, and those maybe will be a little cleaner way of doing it. So however works for you, you'll figure it out as you get going. You can practice it on paper like I did if you want to give yourself a little bit more, you know, practice before you do it on your actual painting. The nice thing about this background, you can always paint over it. I would probably mix up a little extra of this color. That color on the side cam is a lot closer to the color than this one is. I want to change my temperature on this overhead light because I think it's what's causing the problem. Let me see. There we go. A little bit more blue light. I don't know if that's going to be right or not, but we'll see. It looks a little bit better on the monitor than it did. It doesn't look as orange or yellow, I mean, yellowy. All right. Oh my goodness, look what I did. Put my hand all in that. I was just not paying attention, was I? Oh, so I was just saying the background, we can repaint it. We're going to have to. Gosh darn it, I hate when I do that. So yeah, mix up an extra bit of your green background because you're going to need it for stuff like this if you're dumb like me and paint stuff. If I had just stayed at the top and not done these down here, then I wouldn't have this problem. But I was trying to skip around. Okay, so if you've got an area too where you have to touch up, you can do a couple of different things to help it. So we could put a couple leaves there. We could paint in a larger area and then paint another area around it. I think we got it fairly close, so we'll see. I don't know. We'll probably end up seeing it. It might be a little bit darker, but we'll fix it. That's a problem for another day. We'll fix it later. I'll try not to put my hand in it this time. And one thing that you can do with these daisies to kind of help keep you on track is to kind of do your 4 poles. So do all 4 directions, and that way you know kind of what direction those petals can go, because you kind of get used to doing one in one direction and then you'll end up like, you know, having the line kind of going in the wrong direction. Then you can kind of do them in between 2 if you want. And then have your, maybe fit a couple in between. Make them a little bit bigger. Maybe that's just one big one there instead of 2, but you get the idea. So if you have a hard time kind of placing your petals, that's a good little trick to try. I think I have more petals on this one than I did on that one. And you can see I'm not worried about my center at all. I just kind of did it for placement. We'll fix it later. Okay, here we go. Keep on going here. We're doing okay on time. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm not going to do any more down here because I'm just going to put my hand in it again. But I do want to fix that petal because I don't have that colors drying on me over here. Okay. All right, so let's do our little mushrooms up there, and I think I might, you can change the color if you want. The ones that I had were kind of yellow, but I might make them, let me think on that. I might make them this white color that's down here, or have a little bit of that white that's going to be in the Cosmos coloring. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, well, let's just do them in white for now, and then we can decide later. Okay, and I'm going to change the shape just a little bit too, and make them a little bit more kind of broad. Cute. I'm loving mushrooms at the moment. Mushrooms are having a moment in decorating too, so it's a mutual admiration. Well, that would be if they liked me. Never mind. That didn't make any sense. I was like, wait a minute. Anyhow, they're popular in decorating right now. Okay. They were real popular in the 70s, which doesn't surprise me that kind of mod stuff is coming back, because that mid-century modern stuff is popular right now, which is actually like 60s, but not the same time period, but still kind of, you know, more vintagey. I heard that lucite, that kind of 80s stuff is becoming more popular too. I'm like, really? I'm sure. And those like really bubble big fat lamps that my mom had in our living room growing up. I wonder if she still has them, because they're real sought after too. You know, in trendy decorating, not in the kind of decorating I do. My decorating is whatever I've had for years, and then I add new art around it and try to. we've spruced up our stuff though over the years, here and there.
We, as in you.
Yeah.
You ask my advice,
We did
and then you just roll your eyes and do whatever.
That's true. We did a whole house renovation it's been about, it's been a
6
while.
years.
Yeah. No longer, because we did, 2019, yeah. All right, so I made a gray with black and white here. I'm going to use that for my stems. Yeah, so we did kind of like black and white, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it's grown on me. Cute. All right, so I think I'm going to stick with 2, because that will give me more room for flowers. I don't know. We'll see. We can always add another one. And then we'll put a flower where they connect down there. So curve that a little bit more. Yeah, and I'm really kind of trying to crowd and kind of use up the space as much as I can. You can use whatever elements you want. Might even have room for a little ladybug on one of these or something. Might be fun
Your
to add. What?
your big fan has joined us.
Noah. Hi, Noah. Painting mushrooms and flowers and ladybugs and butterflies tonight. She's my granddaughter. She's a good little artist.
And mine too.
Huh? And yours too, yes.
I hope.
Huh?
I hope. Do we need to talk?
No.
Okay.
You got the boys, I got the girls. You got 3. I gave you 3 boys, 3 sons. Now I get the 2 granddaughters. All to myself. No, they love their peepaw. Their Marky is their favorite. If I get on the phone with Noah, we do video chats, weekly, if not more. And if I'm on too long on the phone, she'd be like, "Where's Peepaw?" She's like, "All right, Gigi, it's all good to see you." And I'll yeah, I'm happy to see you, but where's Peepaw? Let's be real. We called for Peepaw. He's a popular guy with the grandkids. It's as it should be. Love it. All right. So I'm going to use this gray, the same one that I was just using, and just make sure you have plenty of white in it. It'll cover this green just fine. Do like that. Give it a little skirt. And then bring it down. And I want this to be the same width as this opening here, so don't go wider than that. Looks good. And then at the bottom there's kind of another little skirt situation. Right there at the bottom. And kind of ruffles out a little bit. All right, looks good. And these are all just images that I've either taken myself or found on sites like Pixabay or Unsplash. So if you want to add your own elements, feel free to search. The photos make it pretty, or photo apps nowadays make it pretty easy to isolate images and, manipulate and do your own thing with them like this. So it's really fun, kind of coming up with your own compositions. I'm going to bring that out a little bit more on the sides. Did you say I'm going to? That's got a little stripey in it. That's all right. Okay. Might just do like a cluster of asters instead of do the bachelor buttons. Or trying to think if there's another flower I can do instead. I could do like a larkspur type of, or even some leaves coming up instead of doing all flowers there. I think some larkspur would be nice, just something long and thin. Speaking of, we've got larkspur that are getting ready to bloom out in my garden. I'm so excited. I was so disappointed last year because I planted a bunch of larkspur seeds all along my back bed and none of them hardly came up. I had like 2 or 3 plants back there, and over winter they just decided they were happy. I don't know if they needed a winter. Some seeds need like the winter to help them germinate, but whatever magic happened over the winter, they are coming up happy as could be, and they are huge, and I'm so excited. That whole back bed is just all larkspur, and I didn't have to do a thing, which is the best thing about it. It was all from last year's efforts and disappointments. Yeah, it's funny. So we'll have to paint some larkspur this year. I'm anticipating larkspur painting in our future. Probably part of that series that I was going to do with the birds, that I've got 3 done. It's got the birds on the tall felt flowers, since they're such a tall, spiky flower. I think that'll kind of fit into that one. We did the gladiola and the lupine and the foxglove. So we'll add some larkspur to that series, I think. It'll be a good addition. Once I get some pictures later on. I still can see where I did that boo-boo there. So what I might have to do is make that flower longer. I could pull those petals down a little bit longer. We'll see. And I've got room here for leaves. Let's go ahead and do a leaf here. Maybe get a little bit of teal. I feel like I probably have room for a couple of leaves, so I'll kind of leave room to do 2. Make them a little bit thinner than the ones up there, maybe. I'm trying to decide if I want them next to each other, or I feel like I want them to be part of a cluster, maybe. Do them like that. I wish I'd left that one a little bit thinner. Something like that. Yeah, that looks good. Just kind of trying to use up the space. All right, so let's start here and we'll put it in right here. Like that. And we'll have another one here. And then another one coming out this way on the other side of that. Fun. Yeah, that works. All right, I might make this a little bit thinner. I might even leave it that kind of soft teal color. It's kind of pretty, isn't it? Isn't it? Alright. Guess I kind of moved that one over. I don't know what happened there. I've got a lot more room on this side than I do on that side. I probably didn't center these now that I'm thinking about it. Let me check my T-square and see where I'm at. So I've got my 9-inch, 5.5, so I'm pretty close to 5.5. There, my butterfly is way off center though. The center of it is here instead of right there. So that's what happened there. I kind of crowded it out. That's all right. All right, let me think. So we said we'll do some larkspur coming up here. I think if we curve it up this way, it'll be kind of nice. Kind of fill in this area here. I'm trying to decide if I want to start from here and come up. I think I want, well, I guess this can all be one cluster, so it could come from over here somewhere as long as it hides behind the flower here. Just thinking about my placement of things. Let me just draw it first, and that way I can kind of know if I like how it is. So I'm gonna do that's my butterfly there. I need to have room for my antenna to come out. I didn't leave. I may have to move it down or put my antenna to the side, I guess. do that. I'm not going to have room for my little bees there. I guess I could put my bees up here. So this is just design stuff here. Sorry. Just trying to make design decisions. I'm going to move that down so I have a little bit more wiggle room right there. I've got plenty of room for my antenna. These little bees, I think they can fit there. Tuck them in right there, and then maybe have the little aster right here and here. And then another couple of aster here. Kind of need a mid-sized flower there, I think. So I might do the little bachelor, or the little forget-me-nots down here. And then yeah, that works. Kind of creates a little sweep up. I like that. And this will be the cosmos, another daisy, cosmos, so the cosmos can move up a little bit. Okay, that makes more sense there. And let me get a little bit of this white and some yellow. And I'll do this big old butterfly here. Butterflies are going to take the most work, so it makes sense to paint those in first so that they get a good second coat, because they're going to need it. Get a little bit more yellow. Let's turn out green. And then part of this is going to be black, so I'm not too worried about the black parts of it. Here's the head. And then the rest there is going to be black. So the yellow parts kind of make a of a triangle on either side. Okay, actually I like this color. I could do like a Luna moth instead of the, actually might do that. That's a pretty color. I like this color. So I need to find a picture of one. If you would find me a Luna moth picture. Is it Luna? I have a painting somewhere, but I don't have it close by. Did one last year, I think. It's been a while. Mm-hmm. It's on my website.
A quick link here on my go to the website, tutorials. Search. Look at that.
Yeah, it was a bonus video for patrons.
That's pretty sweet.
Let me see it. Ah, there it is. Yeah, so we could do that here. That would fit. I like that idea. All right, so You might, let me see that shape. Let me go ahead and just look at the shape of it. Okay, so yeah, I've got the shape pretty much down. We were just watching it last night. That's what made me think of it. We were watching that movie about them. They don't have any mouths. And they live for like, what did they say? Like just hours, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the time, but it isn't very long.
Mm-mm. You can get a little bit of cobalt teal here. Got that kind of down here. That first coat is already dry, so let me put in my second coat here. Poor Marky. Still coughing. Thankfully, my cough is gone just about. I had the same thing as him. He caught it from me, so I got about a week on him of recovery. You'll feel better by next week. And I know that makes you feel better. But.
Well, it's I'm not coughing nearly as much as I was, and it seems to happen around when I eat right now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. That's weird. Oh, he's cute. I like it. I like it. I went a little bit thick on his little tail. Oh, I lost it. I'm going to need a picture of one, though.
You don't
Kind
have
of
a
to finish
reference on your
it.
computer?
Well, yeah, but I'm painting right now,
What?
so I can't look it up at the moment. That's why I have a co-host.
I don't know where you squirrel them away, so
Just
why
have
don't I
to.
take over painting real quick,
Okay,
and you can look for it.
sounds good.
Yeah. Our subscribers just went up 2,000 people because I'm going to be painting. It's pretty awesome.
All right, so let me get some white here and some blue and some white again, or some, that's not white, that is magenta. Sorry, I'm well into art brain here and I can't, my words are not accessible in this portion of the brain. It's a real thing. Writers have it. Artists, anytime you're using that kind of creative center of your brain on the right side, your words and kind of the way they work, or the labels for things, kind of stored in a whole different database of your brain. It can be very frustrating when you're trying to talk and paint. Try it sometime. Get in the middle, just right in the middle of a painting, and have somebody try to explain, try to explain what you're doing to somebody. And it's not as easy as it seems.
Not as easy.
No, your brain's gonna fight you. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of dab for my larkspur. And then I'm trying to find my pictures there. And then they kind of have these little kind of clusters of flowers on either side. So I'll do a couple little. And then of course that long stem there, which really should be a different color. Get some green, phthalo green, phthalo blue, maybe a little bit of black to make it dark. There we go.
And we got a question about this style
Uh-huh.
that you're using
Yeah.
here. Let's see if I can get this to work. There it goes.
Why did you choose to place all the things mirrored from the center like a sticker sheet? Is there a name for this style composition? I've never seen this style of painting on canvas art. Yeah, it's more of a poster style. It's probably like a digital art style, but I just like it. The reason I'm doing it this way for the video is that well, normally, like I said earlier, that I would probably paint them individually on a piece of paper and then compile them together, but to get this compiled look, I didn't have time to do that because that would be a whole second video to edit all of the images and move them around and put them together. So I'm trying to kind of like do both at once here. But this would definitely be a style of painting where if you're going to do this, then I would do it on like a white paper probably, and then cut them out digitally and do the placement digitally. But this is I would say like a poster style of painting, like a digital poster, something you would see maybe with words or, like I see these a lot. Like I could see this on a t-shirt maybe, or maybe not in this particular style, but this would definitely be like a poster for, a room or something. You could leave room here in the middle to put, words or something like that, or that kind of thing. Or like even a flag, like I could see it on a flag.
Ooh.
So that's what I'm hoping for myself. I'm licensing now to different places, and so I think that this could be something that might get picked up as a greeting card or a flag or something like that, or a puzzle.
Ooh.
So that's kind of my thinking on it, from an artistic standpoint. It's not necessarily, like you said, a canvas art type style, but is definitely kind of fits.
It's something fun and whimsical for the spring.
Yeah, just different. I'm trying to kind of do, you get in a rut after a while, after I've painted literally 1,000 or more paintings over the last 10 years. We're right at 1,000, if not, I think we're at more than 1,000 actually, because I think we have 900 and something on YouTube, and I know we've got over 100. But anyhow, you get the idea. It just, after a while, you kind of have to keep coming up with new ideas and challenging yourself, and so this was a style that appealed to me from the products that I bought. I thought, let's try it. Why not? I'm going to go over the top of these mushroom stems with my lighter version. So I got some white now. So I put the mid-tone down, and now I'm going to come back through and add some highlights to these and try to kind of get them to look a little bit more put together. I kind of feel a little bit forced right now, so I'm trying to get them to look a little bit more natural. Yeah, in my I search, or I do polls pretty regularly for my patrons, to vote on different things. This was not up there. So this is a veto painting here because I vetoed it. I was like, I want to do it anyways. So if it doesn't do well, that's on me. So it's all right. I didn't listen. So if you like this style, you better watch it and share it a bunch and show all of your friends and
watch it a few thousand times.
Right, exactly. Get those numbers up so that I can, if you want to see more of this kind of whimsical, more art. I would say this is a more illustrative style of art, not a necessarily fine art style of painting. So just kind of highlighting each of these petals that I've already done and kind of trying to add a little bit of, like leaving a little, you know, you can see where I'm kind of trying to kind of like create these little clusters of flowers. They all kind of cluster, flower, 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 and they all kind of cluster along that tall stalk. So it's one of those flowers that groups together, little mini flowers all clustered together. I don't know if that makes sense. All right. Yeah, that looks a little weird, doesn't it? I don't know. The way it's arched like that. I feel like it needs something right here now. Oh well. We can put leaves. Let's do that. We'll put leaves there. The leaves are a good filler. Yeah, that works. Okay. Yeah, so we definitely want to do a leaf coming down this way. And since these are opposite each other, we may need another one. We'll see. Kind of didn't leave very much room for this one. Okay. I think I might change the color of the aster here to pink or white, just because we've already got the purple here now. So, all right, let's give this a second coat and try to get this finished. How are we doing on time? Oh, gosh, we got a lot to do. I told Mark, I was like, yeah, it's gonna be a long one. We might be here for a while, a bit longer than our normal time. I'll try to speed it up a little bit. I've been kind of stopping to explain things. And you can see how now we're getting really nice coverage. Sometimes it just takes an extra coat. Okay. Turn this a little bit so I can get a better angle on that. Okay, now I'm going to get some white on the tip of the brush and just come back in and add my little white highlights along the edge. Just going to let it break up as it comes towards the center, so just kind of lifting off the brush a little bit before it gets all the way to the center to get that broken line. Call this the flicking technique. This pink is still a little bit tacky. It's not fully dry, so you may have to let it dry completely before you do this if it's becoming too sticky. then let's do the center with our kind of yellow and a little bit of burnt sienna. And we're just going to tap it around in a circle. And I'm definitely going to have to darken up my petals. You can see how this is like there's no definition in the petals, like depth as far as like, you know, value switch. So I need to add a little bit darker color into my pink there to separate out those petals a little bit. But I need to let that set because it's still pretty wet. All right, so on this butterfly, I'm going to add just a little bit of blue. Get some ultramarine blue and my white, and maybe a little bit of phthalo blue. Let's see, it's kind of a little bit of more of a teal blue. Okay, and then we'll add that. We kind of already have that kind of greenish color here, so that's already working in our favor. We'll kind of just pull that blue in towards the center a little bit. And we'll add our coloration later. But then the top is kind of a tawny, kind of taupey brown. So I'm going to get a little bit of the phthalo, or the ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and add it to this ultramarine blue mix. Sorry, I'm just can't use my words today. There we go. So we got a nice gray. I'm going to get a little bit of glaze here and just use that to kind of brush that on. I might add a little bit of white actually instead of the glaze because I need this to cover. There we go. If the background was solid, I would use the glaze, but I can see that it's not quite solid, so I need that titanium white to help make it more opaque. This color. Alright, wiping that off, getting some white. I'm going to come back in with the white, just plain white, from the tip and pull it in over that gray. While that gray is still wet, it'll kind of just blend in. And I'm trying to kind of go in the direction that I'm seeing those wing patterns, so kind of in towards the center, so that if there's any streaks, it'll just look like it's part of the design. Okay. Let's do a little bit on the blue side too. I'm seeing a little bit of this white kind of on that blue side. And here. Okay, pretty. So now all that's left is just to kind of do a few little tweaks to the coloring. I'm going to get a little bit of green and some white and use that on the back. Pretty. Let's use this green on the Luna moth too. Did you find me a photo of it?
Were you going to use your painting, or do you?
I don't care. I just need a photo to look at because I don't know what the markings are.
All I have is the one that you looked at earlier. I can get you a regular picture if you want it. Yeah, I just wanted something on the computer. So if you want to put that on the computer, or I guess I can just use your phone, as long as it doesn't close on me like it did. Let me change my settings.
Let's do a second coat on these little guys. I could make these like a light blue maybe. I don't know. I'm still working on the color. We'll make them white for now. Using that kind of gray that was there for my second coat with a lot of white.
mixed in. Might just leave them kind of that color. Kind of pretty. They'll need a little shadowing, but I don't think they need a color. Oh, no, maybe the yellow, because we got so much yellow here, and we'll have yellow down here too. This maybe have to be a two-parter. That one may be what we'll have to do, because I need to close out. I don't have time for the rest of this tonight. Let's try to get those cosmos in here.
Okay, it shouldn't lock on you now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love cosmos. They're one of my favorite flowers. I did a new variety last year that was so pretty. It was like this neon orange color, and it bloomed and bloomed and bloomed and bloomed. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was one that I hadn't tried before. We do zinnias and cosmos mostly along that back fence, and sunflowers too. During the summer, they're about the only thing that can survive in Arkansas. You know, everything else is gonna. It's like, I can't do it. The zinnias are like, bring it. They're out there in their bikinis and just, loving it. They don't care. We like the heat. Yeah, these are pretty. But cosmos are such a cheerful flower. I love them. And they like grow on such little delicate stalks, so they move a lot, They're like, these long, thin, tiny stalks, and they just kind of flutter around on the tip. These long stalks, so they're really fun to film. They have a lot of movement. All right. I could see. So we need another yellow flower down here. So let's do another yellow. Let's do another yellow daisy. I'm going to do a little bit different size this time. Not quite so big.
Was it like that bright pink color?
No, they were orange. I have them I have some pictures of them somewhere.
Do you have a seed packet still?
Probably, yeah.
Sunset orange? Like that?
Yeah, it was pretty close to that.
Okay. There's one called Bright Lights.
I don't think the sunset orange was the name of it. I think it had a. I don't know. I don't remember. Plant too many different kinds.
Lotus orange.
No. Yeah, that's cute. All right. Getting there. So let's use this white. I'm going to use that cadmium yellow light in my white. have a nice bright yellow here. Might add just a little bit of that India yellow just so it's like a little more golden. And I'm going to go over my yellow daisies and add a second coat. This is going to do wonders for them. They're going to pop. And also doing that technique where I'm not pulling the brush all the way in, but kind of halfway or 3/4 of the way to the center. So the center is still staying dark. It's a trick for decorative painting. I used to do I did an entire room of daisies all the way around. Daisies and I don't remember what the other flowers were, but anyhow, just a trail of daisies, white daisies all the way around the room. And this is the technique, using that center transparency to create your dark areas of your flower. And you don't have to paint the whole thing in or come back in and shadow that area. You've got it dark already.
Oh no, it says that she wants to see Gigi and Peepaw paint.
She wants to see Peepaw paint?
Well, it says she wants to watch Gigi and Peepaw paint.
Oh.
So I'll be right over there. Hold on a second.
You want to dab in the center of the flower here? We'll get you your color. We'll make you color. I'm not scared.
Where can I do the least amount of damage?
That's what I'm thinking.
Can you just put a little bit of brown right there in the center?
Okay, here, use that.
Okay.
Dab it where it's already at.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
You can go over the yellow just a little bit.
Okay, this is for you, Noah. Okay, here you go. I did it.
Good job, honey.
Thanks.
That's funny. All right, so little dots around the center. This is where we're kind of covering over our little areas that we have already painted in over the center there. So that was mixed up our purple with the Quinacridone Magenta and Ultramarine Blue, and now the Burnt Umber. If you have Dioxazine Purple on your palette, you could use that instead. This would work. Maybe a little bit of brown added. Okay. And then give it a little highlight. We're just going to add a little bit of Unbleached Titanium. And I'm going to dab a little bit around the outside right here. Bottom, and then take that and kind of dab a little circle with a hole in the middle toward the top. Okay. And I think it needs to be a little bit brighter than that to be able to visible, but or visible. Get a little bit more of like a purple color here. My unbleached titanium. I'm gonna add a little bit of white just so it's more bright. There we go. There, now we can see it. Okay, so let's do the same with our, actually we've got so much to do. Oh, yeah, I'm never gonna finish this one tonight.
Huh? Want to do it as a possibility for?
I think we'll just, what are you thinking?
May?
Oh, the end of May? Do we want to wait that long?
Well,
I can just push everything back a week.
You could. But you need to give everybody a heads up about your May schedule.
That's right. I have jury duty in May, and it's not jury duty in town, it's jury duty in Little Rock, which is an hour and a half away. So if I have any days of jury duty on Tuesdays, I will probably not be able to make it back in time for our video. So we'll be on a standby all of May. I think we just finish this next week.
Okay.
I've got enough to do that it makes sense to wait, because otherwise I'm just going to be rushing through,
Yeah.
and it won't be finished to the level that I want it to be finished. So if you guys are cool with that, we'll just do a part 2. I'll get as much done on it tonight as I can in the 2 hours, and then whatever's left is going to be next time. All right, so getting that burnt umber and yellow oxide here, adding little dabs around the center of my flowers there. That helped a lot. And then getting some of that yellow I was using before, maybe a little bit of green with it. I feel like it's slightly green. Just kind of doing a little, that's too white. Get a little bit more yellow. There we go. Yeah, because I got to finish this. I got to finish all the butterflies. I don't know what I was thinking trying to get this done on a Tuesday night. I thought I could do it real fast, but it's not really a fast one, especially when I'm having to do everything twice. Probably could have done about half this much, and it would have been about right. But then it wouldn't have been what I had in mind, so, gotta do what you gotta do. It's been a while since we've done a 2-parter on YouTube, so I'll be curious to see if you guys come back for the second part. Usually the second 2-part videos, the second part is usually not as watched as the first part. It's just kind of something that happens on YouTube. All of my 2-part videos, the second part is about half of what the first part was. So hopefully not with this one, because I think part 2 will be worth coming back for. Got a lot of fun details to do. Okay, so just adding a little bit of lighter color here to my leaves there. Let's go ahead and do that here too, while I got this color out. I'm just adding some of that color around. I'm just going to finish off what I can finish in this upper half. And I think I'll add some shadowing to that flower there. So I'm going to get some of my magenta and maybe a little bit of my cadmium red light. And let's see what we got here. This might add a little bit of unbleached titanium, just because my magenta is so transparent that it just doesn't cover very well, unless I've got a little bit of an opaque color added to it, which the cadmium red helps, but maybe not enough. I'm kind of trying to put in a little bit of separation between these petals a little bit. Not loving that. Get some more white out. Or I could just say, you get the idea and finish it on your own. That could be the other, I mean, if nobody wants to see, let the chat decide. Does want to see the part 2 of the butterflies and everything finished, or just call it good and watch one of my other butterfly videos to get the techniques, because I have a ton of butterfly videos already on YouTube. I feel like if you're painting along though, you're going to want to see it. But if people aren't really feeling this one, then I understand. I can finish it on my own. No, I'm serious. I mean, I'm not saying that in a mean way. I'm just like,
Either way.
right.
Okay.
And let people decide what they want to do. All right, getting some Ultramarine Blue and my burnt umber, making a darker gray. This gray is the same value as the background, so I either need to make it lighter or darker. So I'm going to go darker at first, and then I'll go lighter. So I'm going to start with the dark. Add that. I'm going to wipe off my chalk marks everywhere. I mean, I think I could probably see, we just have so much more up here than down below is all. Would kind of be, the bottom would be unfinished. Right, let's do this. Yeah, now we can see them. All right. And then get a little bit lighter version of what we had before, lighter gray, and kind of just pick a side and add a highlight. Okay. And then let's maybe just use this gray on our mushroom itself, that darker color, and kind of darken up this side of it. I'm going to just add little streaks through. So you can see it's kind of making a triangle here to darken up this one half of those, okay? And I'll do them on that side on these too, even though they're mirror. The light would be coming from the same side, I think. Okay. What's chat saying?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4 that say yes, they would watch the part 2.
Okay.
We had a suggestion maybe the part 2 is a kind of a sped up
Okay.
one,
Yeah.
and that's all we got for input right now.
Okay. Adding a little bit of that burnt sienna with some glaze around the center there.
Another yes for part 2.
Okay.
I'll be here if you do part 2.
Yeah. I was in a floral mood when I came up with our schedule for next month, so
It's springtime.
It's all flowers all the time. Even my seascape has flowers. It's flowers. Yeah, I was so focused on flowers, we walked right by one of our friends
Yeah.
at Lowe's the other day.
Yeah.
Didn't even. I was like, I'm in heaven.
She had to check online. She kind of looked at me all like, hi, but I don't normally see her in a ball cap.
Yeah.
And then she commented on how cute Fitzy was, and I'm like, oh, hey, I know you.
Yeah, and then I walk up and she's like, Tara's here. And I'm like, what? Where? She's like standing literally right there.
We'd walked past her earlier.
Oh, yeah, totally. Because I noticed the flowers in her cart. I didn't notice her.
Bad.
I know. That's really bad.
Oh, okay. So I guess the tradition is if there's a unfinished painting in part 2 that I have to do part 2
Ah.
with the row houses.
Yeah, no. No, I'm not doing this part to you. I would not do that to you. This one's not that.
Now we gotta go cough.
Okay. We made you laugh.
Yeah.
All right, getting a little bit of white now and just kind of going back in the opposite direction with my white to add a little bit of highlight to some of these. I want to keep my direction when I'm adding these though, because it's easy to kind of get twisted, so make sure you're following the petal direction when you're doing your little flicking motion. All right, so that looks good. So these are done. That's about the only thing done. These mushrooms are pretty much done. These are 90% done. I'm going to add some of this burnt sienna color to the center again. I feel like it's not quite dark enough right here. Yeah, there we go. Get it a little bit darker. Yeah, there we go. Just had to go a little bit darker in my value. I'm literally just tapping to get these little tiny dots and things. Okay, there we go. And then a little bit more white. We'll just kind of create, create some highlights on those edges of some of these petals to separate them out. This white is very transparent or very like fluid. I don't have my heavy body paint out or white out, so it's kind of going everywhere. Okay, so that's done and that's not. So you can kind of see the difference there with it kind of outlined a little bit. Looks a little bit more finished. I don't want to outline everything too much, so I'm kind of trying to be selective about it. Looks good. All right, these are pretty much done. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of white to the centers of those. The larkspur centers are usually white, so I'm gonna come back in and just dab in a little bit of white here and there on some of these ones where I kind of made those little rough flower shapes. I didn't really get too fancy with it, but that looks better. Okay. And let me wipe out most of that white, and I'm just going to dry brush a little white highlight on these. A little bit more on that light side. Remember, shadow side, light side, so pick your light side, and for some reason it is not going on there. All right, so those are done. Let's get a little bit of white. Add a little bit more blue to my forget-me-nots up here. So getting a little bit of that ultramarine blue. And white. Keeping it pretty pastel on these. And then the center is kind of a golden yellow. So I'm gonna use my green, my gold, and my all three yellows. I cannot words. I can't word today. I can't do words. Okay, little yellow dots. And then I'm going to get a smaller brush. I'll maybe use this one with my white. You might want to zoom in here so they can see this.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. And just go around the yellow with white dots.
Which brush did you grab?
This was that 8 round that I was using before. Just a round that you can get a small point on. Okay, let's go ahead and go to this one. Get some white with my yellow with this same brush. And I'm going to do little dots and lines, and then make sure that center is highlighted. Okay. Dots and tabs. Okay. Cute. What time is it? Okay. I think we'll break there, I guess. Because I think so. I'm trying to think of how much time it's going to take me to do the rest of this stuff, but let's see if I can get that off. I got a little bit of that yellow on there. Yeah, so I've just got the centers of these and some more details. A few more flowers here and here, just small ones like that. Might add some more leaves or something up there. My 2 little bees. And finish these 3 elements here. Yeah, I'll have a full nother video for this. It'll be a good 4 hours, I'm sure, total by the time we finish it all. So it'll be a good breaking point. I think we've gotten most of our main elements painted in at least. And let's go ahead and put the centers in these 2, at least to kind of make them look sort of semi-finished, since we've got about 5 more minutes here before the end of our 2 hours. So there and there, and these are kind of oval shapes, and then that Cosmos has that kind of, might even add a little bit of green to it. Yellowy green center. Add some yellow and orange, white. Gonna make an orange with that cadmium red color, and I'm gonna use this brush to kind of do my little dots on this coneflower. Try to finish it. Just leave plenty of that dark showing, and then get a little bit lighter yellow, do another layer at the very tip. So you do that kind of mid-tone all over and then come back in and do the very tip with the second color. Let's go ahead and give those petals their highlight. So getting that magenta and cadmium red light, going a little bit lighter, sort of 50-50 on the color. I'm just going a little bit lighter than I had before, and I'm just going to do like I did with the daisies and kind of pull up from the center and try to kind of create that highlight on those petals. Got a little bit of paint that was dried, leaving crumbly bits. There. Don't want that. I need a clean spot on my palette. My palette's all full.
You painted a palette.
I did. Here we go. So I'm going to bring these down a little bit more. Remember, because we had that kind of boo-boo area there. So that'll help kind of cover up that. And I'm going to bring these down because they need to kind of match it a little bit. Whoop. Of course, I did it right in between. Okay, that works. Making these a little bit bigger to match that side. Okay, and then give it a little stem. A little bit of burnt umber with my green. Somewhere like that. All right, we've got a little bit more of a semi-finished, you know, the butterflies and this are obviously not done, but at least the rest of the elements look sort of halfway there. All right, we're gonna quit here, and yeah, and I'll have to rethink my life choices and why I thought I could get this done in 2 hours.
I'm not gonna say anything. I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay.
Mark, well, I think I showed it to you when I first made it, and you were like, now I'm remembering. I don't know what, you know, I was just trying to get something scheduled. I'm always kind of doing it last minute. This last month was more last minute than anything, and this was definitely one that I would probably have done in a challenge video and done it totally different, and we probably would have done it on paper and then digitally edited it like we did. I did a vintage ornament tutorial last year, if I can remember where. On here. No, I don't know what I did with it. Nope, not there. Okay.
What are we looking for?
Well, I'm looking for my finished vintage ornaments painting. I'm not sure what I did with it.
Put your fingers in your painting.
Thank you. Maybe in here. But anyhow, I painted the vintage ornaments. No, it's not in here. I don't know what I did with that paper. It's in one of my notebooks somewhere. So, oh, maybe it's this one. I don't know. Can't find it. Sorry, guys. Whoops. Oh. Yeah. I was gonna show them, but anyhow, I did the painting part on paper and like an acrylic pad,
And then I digitally edited them, and we did the fabric on the video. So that was last Christmas that I did with my patrons. So if I had done this with my patrons, that's how I would have done it. But I didn't. We're doing it here with you guys, and we're going to have to come back because it's way too much for one night. Oh, well. Nobody's perfect. All right, so we'll redo our schedule, and we'll have some new dates for you, but we'll come back next week and finish this. I'm really looking forward to finishing it. I'm loving how it's turning out. It's really cool. Really, really fun. Hope you guys are inspired by it and want to try it. And again, you could do it any number of different ways if you wanted to. You could just do one element of it, or do a cluster, or maybe that would make a nice painting, or there's lots of different ways that you could take these elements and make something different out of them, and not just do this whole poster style if this is not your cup of tea. So, all right, we'll be back next week to finish this beast.
Okay,
And,
Arnold.
Hope you guys come back for it. What?
I said, okay, Arnold.
Every single person that voted to come back next week better be here.
All right, I got their
Take
names
names.
written down.
I'm joking. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us again tonight. We really appreciate you, especially those who kind of hang out with us live. It makes it a lot of fun to get to chat with you guys and get to know you. And yeah, we really appreciate you. The traceable for this will be available on Patreon. And I'll have to have like a working model of it because I don't have it finished yet. So I'll try to get as close to the finished product as I can for the traceable. And then you can paint along. You can kind of catch up, and we can paint next week together if you want to. So, all right, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.